Now we are on episode 29. Did I think of an intro? No, I have not thought of an intro for today's show. Did I know that Dan wasn't going to be here, I think, earlier in the week? Yeah, I did know. Did I still prepare an intro? Fuck, no, I didn't. We're just going to start the show.
Welcome to the Whitetail Advantage Podcast with your host, Brett Bovin. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Well, welcome to another episode of the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. Looking forward to tonight. Dan is not here. Neither is our friend Jason, the homeless hobbit. Like I said, I didn't really plan an intro. I didn't really think of anything funny or anything like that. I just kind of was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's wing it and see how that goes. But I do have to say, I think you've heard me mention it before. I think people that I'm trying to figure out how I worded it or how I want to word it, that don't show any respect to animals that are dying or the ones that they were hunting. I think that shows a lot of character to them that they're showing that type of animal dying in a bad way. And the reason I say that again is because I saw a video clip of somebody out of Texas hunting boar. And I apologize, I'm still coming off of a cold. But this boar was kind of like shaking its head and like slowly dying. And I don't know the first thing about boar hunting, but watching the video, it did not look good. It looked very gruesome. And the video was still showing the guy using a handgun trying to shoot the boar in the head multiple times. Blood was everywhere. And it looked gruesome. I didn't like it. And I didn't like how it was shown. I'm not saying that the guy's a bad person. I just think, to me, it tells me a lot about your character that you're putting that type of content on your own page. Granted, it's your own page. You can do what the fuck you want with it. But at the same time, let's show some respect to the animals. I think that's fucking cowardly, and I find that very disrespectful to the animals, and especially since this is you're putting a lot of bad names towards hunters that put a lot of time and effort into killing these animals quickly and cleanly. And I found that very disrespectful, and that's my 2 cents on it. So again, I'm coming off of a cold, so doing long talks, I had to stop for a second because I get a tickle in my throat. But I am looking forward to tonight's show. We have John coming on, so I'm going to be doing multitasking, hitting the applause button, and bringing them in. Well, hello, John.
Hey, Brett, what's going on, man?
Oh, man, just trying to get over this freaking cold bug, man. Now I just got a cough, and I'm trying to get rid of it, and it just sucks.
Yeah, now it's just annoying.
It does, and it's just you feel all that phlegm kind of in you, and you're just trying to get it all out of you. But like I said, talking for a long period of time, it gets that little tickle in my throat, and it's like, do I need a cough or do I want to take a drink of water?
Yeah.
I've been drinking so much water in the last week, basically peeing clear. So I'm the healthiest my body is going to be in a while.
Now we'll make it through here. You'll be all right.
Yeah. But John, please introduce yourself and tell everyone a little about yourself, please.
Yes, my name's John Walls. I live in the state of Delaware. I listened to the last 2 previous guests you had that were from Delaware, And they were absolutely right about 90% of the state, about it being absolutely level, digging ditches to get water away. I'm from the 10% of the state where you would not think that you were in Delaware. We don't really have mountains, but we have some serious hill country up here. Grew up where I live now, on the same piece of property that I work on. I grew up whitetail and small game hunting. About my teenage years, I got introduced to waterfowling, and waterfowling really took over my life. It's still a big thing I still do. But yeah, if I'm not hunting ducks or geese or deer, I'm looking for antlers, hunting turkeys, fishing, something in the outdoors. So I'm always out and about doing something.
And I found out yesterday that Delaware only has 3 counties.
Yeah, man. Yep.
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's pretty small little state.
I mean, when you have a small state like that, I should have known, but I was like, you know what? What if they had just like every other state, a bunch of small little counties filtered through there?
Right.
So I was like, it caught me off guard, but I was like, I don't know. I just found it kind of more funny than most than anything.
Yeah. Little old Delaware, man, the first state. You gotta love it.
What county then are you in?
So I am in Newcastle County. I'm just about in the most northern part of Delaware you can get before crossing into Pennsylvania.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Pennsylvania about 5 minutes from me.
What was that?
Pennsylvania's about five minutes from me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I heard that part of the county is more liberal up there.
Joe Biden lives 2.5 miles from where I'm sitting, right here.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm dead serious. Yeah, he lives right up the road from me.
How do you feel about that?
It sucks, honestly, because when he's home, I can't make a right out of my driveway. I got to go way out and around the block. And yeah, it's a pain in the ass when he's home, which is quite often, more than people probably think.
Really?
Yeah, I actually lost a deer hunting spot because I was hunting a little neighborhood literally across from his driveway. And it was me and 3 other guys. And in the neighborhood, I guess it was the HOA president, got informed by Secret Service, that the 3 or 4 guys deer hunting there can't deer hunt anymore. So they knew who we were. They knew we were in there. And yeah, they cut us off. Not allowed to deer hunt there anymore when he became president.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was archery only too. It's like, come on, man. We're in there with shotguns, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I lost a pretty good spot too. I mean, it was small. It's in a neighborhood, but up in this part of the state, it's like that's where you catch big deer in small little pockets, in between neighborhoods and stuff like that. So kind of sucks that we lost it. Maybe we'll get it back this year. I don't know.
Oh man,
I don't know what'll happen in the future. I don't know. I hope so. I hope we get it back.
I feel like I got so many questions now that knowing that you're live in the right around the corner from the president.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't even know what to ask because you kind of I don't know. I really do not know. You caught me off guard there with that.
Yeah. I tell that to a couple people, and they're like, "There's no way." I'm like, "Yeah, I swear he lives right up the road, not far at all."
Oh, that's crazy.
It is. It's pretty wild, and I literally hunted across from his house for a lot of years, and can't hunt there anymore.
Nice house.
You can't really see it from the road, but I've been curious and looked on Onyx and stuff. It's a nice pad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, definitely different being close to the president.
Oh, I bet. Not a lot of people get to say that they live basically their neighbors with the president.
Pretty much. Yeah. Right.
Well, what do you want to talk about tonight?
Yeah, man, I'm open to just about anything.
Yeah. Well, I did see, I think we talked about this pre-show of you being a world champion goose caller.
Yeah.
Let's dive into that realm and goose hunting and all that stuff.
All right. Yeah. So, never really waterfowl hunted when I was young. I grew up deer hunting and small game hunting. Met a friend in high school. He's now my best friend to this day. And he introduced me to waterfowling and took me goose hunting for the first time in 2006. And man, I just absolutely loved it. It's just different because all I did was deer hunt and squirrel hunt, really. So it was like to be able to talk and, be able to shoot shit at the same time, hang out with your buddies. It was just like, this is awesome. And my buddy was calling at these geese, and I'm like, that is freaking awesome. Like, I want to do that. So I got a goose call the next year. Found out there was a calling contest down in Lower Delaware. We had no idea what we were doing. And back then it was like, internet was a thing, but there really wasn't like access to contest calling and stuff. Like now you can look on YouTube, you can go on all these different websites, figure out everything you need to know about it. So we didn't really know what we were in store for, and went to this first calling contest, and man, it was just like, I don't know what it was. Something clicked with me. I'm like, I want to do this. Like, that was so much fun. I don't really have like a competitive nature to me, but like being in a contest, I'm like, man, I just want to do the best I can, like, and just help me get better on a duck and goose call. So I started really getting into contest calling in late 2007. And now I travel across the country every summer going to contests. And I've been fortunate enough to win 6 or 7 world titles in these last 2 years. I'm 2022 and 23 world goose calling champion, which is what I've been after since I figured out what contest calling was all about. I mean, that's the Super Bowl for duck and goose, or for goose callers anyway. I mean, I can go on and on about it, but it's definitely a little different, but it's a lot of fun too.
No, go right ahead. So you traveling around the country, like, generally how far out are you traveling then?
I mean, there's contests all over. It's all about how much you want to pay to get there and if it's worth it. I mean, with everything, the economy, isn't the best. So like the payouts and prizes at contests aren't what they used to be. But I usually go to Illinois, Missouri, Minnesota, those areas. That's like kind of where all the contests are during the summer months usually. So each year I'll pick 1, maybe 2 to go to, depending on what the payouts are. I mean, you want to go where the money's at, obviously. So, but local contests, Delaware, Maryland, Jersey, Ohio, closer ones. There's some handful every year I go to as well.
How much can you win at like one of these events?
So, I mean, it's varied over the years, but the last 2 world championships I won $5,000 a pop for that. And along with shotguns, shotgun shells, waders, whole bunch of cool shit. So, but if you go to a normal contest, not a world championship one, you can expect anywhere from $1,000 to $2,500 usually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there's some money in it for sure. But
now, do you have to, like, for those world events, do you have to win so many like smaller events, or can you just apply into that world one and get in?
So for the world goose calling contest, you don't have to like qualify or win anything. Anybody can come sign up and blow in it, but and that's held on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, in Easton, Maryland. So luckily it's only like an hour and a half from me. That's where it's held at every year. But the World Duck Calling Championship, that's held in Stuttgart, Arkansas, and you have to win a sanctioned contest to be able to be entered into that. So the World Duck is a little different from the World Goose. The World Goose is kind of free range. Anybody can come off the streets and go blow in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
Can you demonstrate for us?
I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Fuck yeah, man.
It's gonna be loud, but yeah, hold on a second.
I gotta hear this shit. Oh man.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
It's gonna be loud, but I'll do a little bit for you. My dog's ready to go hunting.
Oh man, that's cool.
Yeah, a little different.
Well, congratulations winning all those events. You plan on doing any more?
Oh yeah. Honestly, the last couple years, it's like life's just been getting busy and getting older. Always shit going on. I haven't really been practicing as much as I used to, and last year, I didn't really even want to go because every year the World Goose Con Championship is the weekend of Delaware's shotgun season, which is like kind of a big thing. It's more, a traditional thing. Everybody gets together and go out in the woods and hunt. So for 15 years, I haven't been able to hunt open a day shotgun season. I've been going to Maryland to go blow a damn goose call, which was fine. But now that I'm getting older, it's like, I kind of want to go hunt with my dad and my buddies and stuff. So it's like, the fire wasn't really lit under my ass to go practice and try to do good. And yeah, last year I go down there and end up winning the damn thing. And I'm like, now I got to go back this year, and went back this year and won it again. So I'm allowed to win the World Goose one more time. You're allowed to win it 3 times, and then you're retired. So that's the goal now, is to try and just officially be done. And then I can go deer hunting. I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
So when exactly is this event every year?
It's the second weekend in November.
Okay.
So that's the same opening day as Delaware shotgun season.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's always the worst weekend of the year.
Yeah. Why they picked that? Why couldn't they just? I know, like in the winter when nothing's really going on.
Like, this time of year, we're in the dead of summer, but it's not. I mean, where Worlds is held in the town of Easton, Maryland, it's not just the contest. They actually have a whole waterfowl festival. They shut down the whole town. They have the dock dogs come in. There's decoy carvers, people selling paintings. There's thousands and thousands of people come and attend this thing. It's not just the contest. The contest is a big draw, especially for getting people from all over the country. But just that whole town gets swamped with people that weekend. So it's pretty cool.
Oh.
Well, I guess moving the whole festival would be a little tough.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So, what's it like to duck hunt out there in Delaware?
Man, duck and goose hunting's fun. My dog's crying.
I can hear him crying in the background.
What? No. It's fun, man. It's Jesus Christ. She's gonna bug me here, but it's fun, man. It's you get a diverse range of types of areas you hunt. Like I said, in my area, I got hills and rolling hills, so it's a lot of fun in that way. But then you go down, mid-state and lower Delaware, it's flat, a lot more marshy areas and stuff like that. So it's fun. It's a unique state, that's for sure, if you hunt from north to south.
Now, I've heard though that some I can't remember exactly. I think they're called pit blinds, or they're in the ground.
Yep.
I've seen some states where they're actually illegal to have.
Really?
I think my buddy was telling me, I don't know. Don't quote me on Missouri, but I think he was telling me Missouri it's illegal to have one there.
No kidding.
It's illegal to have one here in Michigan. No fucking idea.
Right. Yeah. No kidding.
Is it illegal there in Delaware or no?
No. We hunt out of pits quite often. Pits and then just regular A-frame stand-up blinds.
Yeah.
And layout blinds sometimes, but no, it's legal. We hunt out of pits here. That's one of my favorite ways of hunting them. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, I've never goose hunted and duck hunted and never done it. It's something I've kind of want to do though.
Oh man. Yeah.
And what is a day in and out of going hunting one day for one of these things?
So, it all depends on the area you're at. Like us here in Delaware and Maryland and in New Jersey where I hunt, we lease farms. So we have, 2 or 3 fields that we can hunt, and that's the only fields we can hunt. And, some people have a lot more, leased up fields or permission fields where, if the geese are a mile up the road, we'll just go hunt that field. Where us, it's like, we don't really have that option. We have to hunt here and try to call them to us and draw them to us. So every day is a little different. Every weekend's a little different. But Depending on how serious you are about it, I got a 6x12 trailer that is absolutely full to the brim of shit, decoys, blinds, you name it, everything's in it. Pull that out to the field, set up, however many decoys you want. Hope the birds fly and want to cooperate and try to call them into you. That's our style anyway. We don't have the luxury of, hunting where the birds want to be 99% of the time.
Yeah.
So,
now, is there a bag? What's the bag limit like?
So it's been changing recently. I guess first off, we haven't been getting the winters like we used to in years past. And, if it doesn't get cold up north and the geese have open water and food, they're only going to travel as far as they have to. So, a lot of the geese have been hanging up, about 2 hours north of us. I mean, we still have geese, but not like we have or should anyway. So this year they upped it up to like what it used to be. So it was 2 birds and a 60-day season for a while. They cut that back to a 2-bird 45 season. And then I think for 3 years prior to this year, it was a 30-day 1-bird limit this is for Canada geese. So that really sucked, going out there, setting up everything to shoot 1 goose. Hopefully you have a army of guys to make it, somewhat fun and last a bit. But this year they upped it back up to 2 birds on a 45-day season. And now there's rumors of it going back to 30 days next year and 2. I don't know who does like the waterfowl counts or I don't know who the book smart people are that make those decisions, but it doesn't really make much sense to me sometimes. I'll just leave it at that. I don't understand. If you get boots on the ground enough, you could figure it out that there's plenty of birds around, plenty of geese. So as long as we get the weather, we'll have the bird.
Now, generally, when is the hunting season for them?
So we have a resident season that starts September 1st. And depending on what state you're in, it may go to the 15th or the 31st. And those bag limits are higher just because they want to try to get rid of the resident populations. They're the ones that hang out on golf courses and parks all the time. So that's a fun season. But when the migratory birds show up, we're allowed to start hunting them right around Thanksgiving, like the 3 days prior to Thanksgiving, or over Thanksgiving, I should say. And that's usually like a week-long season, depending on which state you're in. I'm in an odd spot. I'm 30 minutes from Maryland, 5 minutes from Pennsylvania, and 15 minutes from New Jersey. So I hunt all those different states for waterfowl. So each state's a little different. It gets a little confusing, but the main season starts usually around the middle of December and goes to the end of January.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's when it's usually pretty good. I do duck hunt a little bit, but I just don't really have opportunities or places to go. But duck season's a little bit longer and a little more broken up depending on which state you're in.
Now, do you go out of state to hunt birds?
I do, yeah. So I primarily waterfowl hunt in New Jersey, even though I'm in Delaware. I don't even waterfowl hunt in Delaware, besides where I'm at work when they show up a little bit on our fields. But New Jersey and Pennsylvania and Maryland is where I usually hunt. But last couple years I've been making a trip to go somewhere new. Last year I went to Texas, and this year I went to Colorado. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, wow.
So like traveling around, seeing some new dirt, hunting different types of Canada geese. There's a bunch of different subspecies and stuff. So it's fun.
What was it like hunting out there in Colorado?
Man, it was awesome. I mean, the Rocky Mountains were in the background. Tons of freaking geese. And then we went out, and then the guides were like, yeah, you got to come back when the geese are actually here. I'm like, this is freaking ridiculous, man. You should come home where we're at. It makes us, I come back home, and I'm like, our hunting really sucks around here compared to, out there. Like, man, like, it is incredible, though. Just totally different environment, landscape. Yeah. That's what I like about it, just hunting different places.
Well, I don't know what it's like here in Michigan, but I guess you got to try coming here to Michigan.
Oh, yeah. I've heard, I got a couple buddies that live in Michigan that are contest callers and stuff, and I see plenty of dead stuff from them. So, I think it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Well, let's talk about now into whitetail deer. So it looks like
Yeah.
you got some giant bucks on your wall there.
They're decent. They're not, well, yeah. Some of them are nice, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we don't grow them real big here.
Well, that one
Way.
right by your ear on your very back wall, it looks like. Yep.
Yep. That's my biggest buck. He's in velvet. I think I don't really care about score, but I think he scored at 146. I think. Yeah, nice thing about Delaware, our hunting season starts September 1st, so you got a pretty good opportunity, you know, those first 10 days sometimes to get a chance at a velvet buck. And I got a unique job. So I live on the property I work on. It's 1,100 acres. So I'm out here every day. I know this property like the back of my hand. I know where the deer are. So like August is pretty fun to go out scouting and, you know, maybe pick a deer I want to hunt that year. And just, you know, see what's around. And yeah, I went out scouting and this deer stepped out. It's only about 250 yards from where I'm sitting right now. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, that's the deer I want to target right there. So, made a couple sits on them. It's pretty, I wouldn't say easy, but you have a much better chance of getting them early, you know, when they're on the same summer patterns. And I think it took me 3 sits and I ended up shooting him at 17 yards and got him.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. Pretty special deer.
How long were you were you after him? Did you know any history about him? Or were you just like, oh, damn, there he is? So
it's kind of weird. My boss, I shot that deer September of 2019, I think it was. So I think it was February of 2019. So the winter before, my boss was like, man, look at the shed I found. This thing's pretty freaking big. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, where'd that deer come from? Like, I usually have pretty good tabs on what's around here. And I'm like, man, I don't recognize that deer. And no shit, like 2 hours later, my buddy's like, hey, man, I was just out. I pulled my trail camera for the year. Look at this buck I got on trail camera, like late January. I'm like, damn, man, there's that deer. Like my boss just found his shed, you know? I'm like, that's ironic. So I spent hours looking for the other side, and I eventually found it. But while I was looking for the fresh side, I actually found this deer's antler from the year prior, really close to where I ended up killing him. But so like all the pieces kind of came together while looking for his shed, and I ended up finding his shed when I was mowing grass at work. I almost ran it over. I'm like, damn, there's a pretty big stick. I'm like, holy shit, there it is. Yeah, it was like late April, I think I ended up finding it. So yeah, not a whole lot of history with him. All my other deer I have stories for days with them, but yeah, that one was kind of, you know, he was here, but he kind of slipped through the cracks on us. And you know, once we found, you know, the sheds to him before I killed him is when he really showed up on the radar. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think he might have moved in maybe from, you know, somewhere else. Not really sure, but fortunate enough to get him because the property I'm on, we just have so much hunting pressure here and surrounding us. I mean, there's people hunting everywhere.
Hey, so what's it really like hunting in Delaware with that small of a state? And is there a lot of private, public land? I mean, for people to go hunt. And it sounds like from the other two guests we've talked to, it's like you basically can look to your left or right, and you're looking at another hunter. That's what it sounds like.
That's pretty accurate. I mean, we do have a decent amount of public land up here. There's actually more every year. It seems like the state's bought a couple pieces and opened it up to public hunting. But yeah, a lot of private. And like I said, I mean, there's people hunting in little backyards and stuff up, especially up this way. I mean, lower Delaware, like I'm sure you heard, a lot of agriculture, really big, wide open space. Up here, it's just totally different. It's kind of really, you know, like the Seek One guys, you know, people sneaking in or, you know, going behind houses and climbing up in these little patches of woods and trying to find them. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, everywhere you look, man, hunters. A lot of people hunting.
What's it like dealing with that type of pressure to go hunting for deer? And I mean, it looks like you got some giant bucks on your wall, but how are they getting that big if you got that many hunters around. I
Right.
figured it'd be brown, it's down.
That's the case, man. I mean, it's tough to get deer past 3.5 years old. I mean, if it's a 3.5-year-old, more than likely it's going to get shot. So it's very tough. But like I said, where I'm at in Delaware, the property I work on is 1,100 acres, but I'm also surrounded by about 5,000 more acres. And there's a lot of hunters, on the other two properties that surround me and including ours. But our place is kind of the safe haven for early season. It's like, all the deer kind of come to us, and then, when we start hunting, they kind of move to the outskirts. But some of these deer, they just find these little hideouts, and they live there. They don't leave. The deer that is right here on the pedestal mount, that deer was aged at 8.5 years old. He dressed like 210 pounds. I have 3 years of sheds off of him, and he lived in about an acre patch of bamboo in my parents' neighbor's backyard. That's where he lived.
Really?
And if he left, he wouldn't go more than 500 yards from that spot. And it made it easy to target him, but he's 8.5 years old. The son of a bitch was smart, and it was hard to kill him. It was hard to kill him, but I got him.
How'd you find him? How'd you can you lay out the plan that you did to kill a mature buck like that?
Yeah, so I just start from the beginning. My oldest lab, Susie, her name's Susie. I've taken her shed hunting, multiple times. Shed hunting is one of my favorite things to do. And she's at my parents' house, and she comes running back with an antler in her mouth. I'm like, damn, look at that. That's pretty cool. And I recognize the deer right away. This deer right here, closest to me, I shot him in October of 2017, I think, or 16. I can't remember. But I shot this deer over the old one I ended up killing just because of the rack difference. This deer is pretty wide. I'm like, I'm going to shoot that one. So shot that deer. That winter, Susie found a shed to him and recognized him from that hunt. He came right past me. So that's kind of when he came onto the radar. The next year, put out some trail cameras. Didn't really get many pictures of him. But I ended up finding both of his sheds 300 yards from my parents' house. So I was like, man, this deer, that's just, ironic he dropped so close to each other multiple years. The next summer, I put out multiple cameras, and that's when I was like, this deer's living right here. I'm only getting him on like one camera, maybe two, and then nowhere else. And ended up finding both of his sheds that year too. And Susie actually found both of them. So the deer's named Susie's Buck, says she found more sheds to him than I did. But yeah, so it was like the next year. So that was 2020, I think it was. And late August, I'm doing my loop, I call it, driving around, looking at all my fields and stuff, scouting it out. And this deer runs out in front of me right near my parents' driveway. And I mean, the deer's body's just fucking huge. I'm like, oh my God, that's got to be him. And got a quick glass at him, and it was him. I'm like, God damn, man, this deer is right here. And never saw him again until like middle of September. I swear to God, I'm at my parents' house. We're on the patio grilling up some burgers, and my dad's like, man, look at that deer. And he literally walks out of the bamboo. He shakes. He takes a big old dump. He's just feeding in the field. He daylighted. I'm like, oh my God, like I would have never thought he's living in the bamboo. I'm like putting the pieces together. I'm like, maybe that's where that deer's living. My dog's crying. Susie. She knows I'm talking about her. Yeah, set up a camera, man. It was like every night right in my parents' backyard. I'm like, no shit. So right behind my parents' house, I don't have permission to hunt. I have permission to walk there and all that, but I can't hunt it. It's a different property. So just across the street is where I have permission. Luckily in the state of Delaware, you're able to bait. So I started putting some corn out, and I would get him every once in a while, but he wouldn't travel very far. Like I said, I mean, he stayed right near my parents' house. It was early October during muzzleloader season. He started daylighting like every day. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna go try to shoot him with a bow. Cause that's what I love bow hunting. I'll shoot him with a gun. Don't get me wrong. I ended up shooting him with a muzzleloader. I tried to bow hunt him. Had him coming in. He got about 80 yards from me, and the wind was perfect and everything, but he knew something was up. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go out with a gun next 2 nights and see if I can get a crack at him. And ended up getting a crack at him. Shot felt great. It was about 120 yards, which isn't really a long shot. Let me get my dog's toy. Hey. Sorry, I don't want all that background noise. Took a crack at him. Shot felt great. He reacted good, took off. 10 minutes later, it started raining. And I don't know, I mean, much history with muzzleloaders, but they don't leave the greatest blood trail.
Yeah.
So it's pouring down rain, finding blood, but I mean, just torrential downpour. Never found him. Decided to back out. I knew where he was going. Obviously, he had a small home range. I'm like, I'll just come back in the morning. Next morning, me and my dad go in there, and he ran into this thicket. We had a tornado the summer prior, and there was just blowdowns everywhere, and ended up jumping him up. Didn't know it at the time. I heard a deer get up and take off. I was like, oh man, maybe it was him. I go over to his bed. There was a little bit of blood and stuff. I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, all right. I'm like, back out. So we come back later that afternoon, and made a rookie mistake, man. I'm like, I'm expecting to find a dead deer. I go back, no gun. I'm just kind of walking around. Susie's with me, and my dad's, 30 yards below me on the hill. And I jump over this log, and I just had this sense of like something staring at me. I turned to the left, and he's standing there 15 yards staring at me. I'm like, son of a bitch. And he kind of like bounded off, but you could tell he was hurt. He was really hurt. I couldn't tell where I hit him. It all happened so quick. I'm like, all right, I know where he ran. He didn't run far from where I just jumped him at that morning. I'm like, let me go back, get my gun, come up with a game plan. And long story short, ended up spotting him. And it took me about an hour to go about 30 yards to get a crack at him. And I was able to put him down. Like your intro, man, I mean, some of the things hunters experienced over the years, it's not pretty, but just try to do your best to put them down as quickly and cleanly as possible. And
yeah,
that's what I was able to do. So that deer was very, very special. That's for sure. Just having all the history and stuff. But I don't know what he scores, but like I said, he's 8.5 years old. I mean, he was all run down. His hooves were all messed up. He had next to no teeth in his head. So that was a special deer. That's for sure. But he never grew. I mean, you can tell he's not that big. That's actually the biggest rack he grew, to my knowledge, of the 3 years of sheds I have off of him. He's like the same size. He never grew.
What made you want to get him aged?
Just because of the sheds I had off of him. I was like, and when I first saw him, he was a pretty mature deer. I guess when I saw him in 2016, whatever it was, I guessed him at 3.5 years old. And then finding the sheds and just seeing his body, it's like, I mean, up here in northern Delaware, we don't have ag fields. We mostly hay fields around here. We don't have food for him. And I think that's probably why he didn't grow a very big rack to begin with, just because the nutrition isn't here, besides corn piles, and the hunters put in. Just seeing that stuff, I'm like, I'm curious. I want to see, what he ages at. And taxidermist sent a tooth out, and 8.5 years old.
Wow. Is that the oldest buck you've had then?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a couple here that I have history with that I just never connected with that were probably up there, the same age. Let me get this toy. Hold on a second. Yeah, so he's an old deer, and especially for around here. I mean, like I said, given the hunting pressure that's around here, it's incredible he made it that long.
Yeah, it looks like you're doing well, though, with the pressure there. I mean, you got some giant bucks on the wall, and you're killing an 8-year-old buck. I mean,
yeah.
Holy shit.
Like I said, man, I have enough woodsmanship here. It's like, I kind of know where some of the deer hang out at. It's an advantage for me. Like I said, I live here. I'm around these deer every day. There's a couple spots they can slip through and be out of sight and out of mind, and they'll just stay there, man. They won't leave.
So you said that he was staying in a bamboo area?
Yep, about an acre of bamboo.
Like legit bamboo?
Yeah. Yep, that's the only thing. Yeah, my parents' neighbor's house has a random patch of bamboo in their backyard. I mean, it's spreading and stuff, obviously, but that's where he lived.
Now, what are you looking at then to find these all mature bucks like that then?
So there's a couple spots around this property. Honestly, the deer that grow big, they live close to people, close to buildings. It's like they know they can't be hunted in these small little areas. There's a couple other spots that are just hard to access. The deer will know when you're in here hunting them. That's for sure. That's another big thing. The main property I work on, we have a big core of woods in the center of the property. So it's like, morning hunts, you're blowing deer out of the field, around or fields around that woods when you're going in. And then, when you get in there, they're usually not bedded too far in from the edge of the woods, and they know you're there. So it's a unique property, but a fun one, in my opinion, just to, figure them out and stuff.
Are you more of a morning hunting person or an afternoon, or depending on like the deer and the terrain that you're going on?
Yeah, definitely depending on the deer. But I would say probably 8 times out of 10, definitely an evening hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to, set up on them and get them coming to me instead of me moving in on them. But I have shot a couple of deer in the morning, ones that I have history with, but just by chance. During the rut, they luckily came past and was able to get them. But
when exactly is the rut then? Since you guys start your hunting season starts in September, our rut generally is kind of like the middle of November, obviously.
Yeah, that's same here. Peak, I would say probably like that November 10th area. But I've seen, bucks getting rowdy late October. That's a fun time of year to hunt. It's when I feel like, I don't call much at them, but I feel like you can get a pretty good deer by calling, rattling, or grunting at them that late October area before, does are in heat and they're on lockdown and stuff like that. But
what's your strategy of hunting deer in the rut there in Delaware?
Honestly, try to get as far away from as everybody else that's hunting here as possible. Just because, like I said, it's hard to get in here without being known you're there. And, I just like to get deep in the woods where, it's not most ideal place to sit, but one, it's the rut. Anything can happen. But everybody else is kind of hunting the periphery. And, these deer know they're there. And they just come into the middle a little bit. So, but like I said, there's just so much hunting pressure here. It's honestly a little bit of a crapshoot that time of year.
Yeah. So, what's like, how big are the body type of the deer out there? Like, what are they getting fat? Are they kind of like average? What's it generally like out there for people to see?
Up where I'm at, like I said, in the 10% of the state, I would say that they're average, probably. A nice mature buck, like a 3.5, 4.5-year-old, you're looking at probably 180 pounds, 190 pounds, maybe breaking the 200. But, Kent and Sussex County, they grow them different down there. That's for sure. You can get some big deer down in the lower parts of the state. That's for sure. You get some every once in a while up here, but like I said, man, just the hunting pressure, the amount of people, car hits and stuff like that. It's hard to get them to grow up here.
Yeah. Now, are a lot more people generally heading more south to get more access to deer, or so would you say, oh, you know what, if you just want to get some deer, head up north while everyone else is trying to go down south?
Yeah, kind of both, like you said. If you want to shoot a big buck, yeah, you're probably better off going to the lower part of the state. And there's a lot more public land down there. We have a decent amount up here, but it's public land. It gets pressured like crazy, but we have a huge population of deer. Absolutely incredible.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. The property I work on. So I work on 1,100 acres, just managing it for native plants and stuff. It's kind of a long, odd story, but part of my job is reducing the whitetail deer herd. So we have crop damage permits here, even though we don't have crops, like as far as corn, agriculture, we have native plants, which the state considers a crop, since that's what we're trying to save and promote. And whitetail deer eat the living shit out of native plants. They give us crop damage tags to hunt, antlerless deer. Not all year round, but we can start August 15th and go to May 15th if we want. And we can shoot as many antlerless deer as we want. So, part of my job is hunting deer, which is pretty cool. We do like stand hunting, but primarily it's like deer drives during the day with the crew I work with. And I was actually just looking at the numbers. We end up killing 92 deer off of this property this year. I think it was 61 of them were antlerless deer, including button bucks. And then the other 30 were antlered deer. But over the last 10 years, I think we killed almost 800 deer off this place. So it's like, we're just, killing these deer, every year. And it's like a whole new bunch comes in, we shoot them. The next year, a whole bunch more come in. It's incredible that we're sustaining, an average about 100 deer a year here.
That's crazy, just because now I'm not the best when it comes to geography.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
same.
Well, at least knowing what part. Anyways, what state is Delaware attached to then?
So we are attached to Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Maryland and Pennsylvania. I mean, there's a little bit of a river that separates Delaware and New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are kind of like in a weird little thing of itself.
Yeah, right? We're surrounded by water, pretty much.
Yeah. How the fuck are you getting all? And then you only have it's like a very narrow tip at the top of it at all.
Yeah.
How are you getting all these deer numbers continuously?
Yeah.
And on this small, I mean, I know just looking at a map, I'm saying it's small.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, just that's so. I'm not saying it's like you have that. What'd you say? 10,000, 11,000?
We have 1,100 acres here.
Yeah.
1,100. Yeah. Which isn't a lot, but looking at a map and like an aerial view of everything around us, which is nothing but people, concrete jungle almost. It's like, where are they coming from?
Yeah, that's something about to ask. How are you sustaining all those numbers, especially having all the hunters out there?
Yep.
And you got like this little bit of land to operate on, and you're still getting all these deer to come out there. That's freaking crazy. Yeah,
it's incredible, man. We started getting into the the strict management program about 10 years ago. That's when we really started watching our numbers and stuff. And like I said, we just try to hammer the antlerless population, and we have. I mean, granted, we have had a couple slow years just because of some of the work projects we were doing on the property. We were doing like a lot of edge removal of invasive plants. And I think that year was 2016. We only killed, I think, 49 deer that year, which is super low, obviously, compared to everything else. But it's just like, I really think, there's a lot of deer here. We shoot them. And then in all these neighborhoods and surrounding properties, there's just a whole other influx of deer that move in here over the summer. We shoot them, the next year, it's the same thing over and over again. And we're expecting to, see a drop in our, harvest numbers, but it's been steady for the last 6-7 years, right? Averaging from 88 to 108.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's you would think you would see it drop and then level off with the amount of hunting pressure we have around here, but it hasn't.
Yeah. you would think with a lot of hunters being out there, and again, I'm saying because just Delaware's a small state, you would eventually most likely think that, all right, you have all these hunters and you're going to kill all these deer, and you just keep doing it, going down, down eventually.
Right.
And eventually kind of just plateauing at that point. But you must have something in the fucking water or something that's like, you know what, let's bring the deer coming here for you.
Yeah. All the does must be having like triplets or something. I don't know. I mean, hey, it's job security. I mean, they keep showing up, we'll keep shooting them. So can't complain too much.
So what's it like though to hunt them for sport? And well, I don't like saying hunting is sport, but yeah,
Right.
but for work.
Yeah, it's definitely different. So we don't really start doing drives until like middle of December. So we actually hunt, from September up through the rut, and then after our shotgun season's over, we're finishing up, land management type stuff, and then it turns into hunting season for us. So it's like a month and a half of us really hammering the deer. So another part of our property, we have about 100-acre botanical garden, which is pretty like well known in this area. People come from all over to visit it. I don't work in that part of the property. It's a whole different group of people, but we have a deer fence surrounding it, an 8-foot high deer fence. And, like this time of year, we have a handful of deer in there, and having those crop damage permits allows us to go in there and harvest them. But it kind of sucks because most of them are shed bucks, or, when you field dressing them, it's a big old doe. It's not the most pleasant thing to see that sack in her, but it's just one of those. That's like, it's a job at that point, like when I'm in the deer fence doing it, it's like I got to. But it's different. It's different, that's for sure.
Now, is there like a limit though that you guys like for work though wise, like you can't shoot more than X amount of deer?
Nah, we don't really have like a quota or anything. It's really just as many as we can. I know with the crop damage system, the state will allow like certain properties like a certain number of tags throughout the year that they can have extra. But to my understanding, us and like 4 other properties up here are some of the only ones that have like unlimited tags.
Huh.
Yeah, it's go online and print 6 more out, and when you go through those 6, you go print 6 more out, and just you're good.
And you're still after all that, you still are getting a bunch of whitetail deer out there.
Yep. Yeah, man, it's wild. I mean, but like I said, I mean, I think there's so much pressure here. The deer just moved to the outskirts just a couple weeks ago. It was petering out at the end of our hunting season. And like I said, we were sitting like high 80s number of deer. And I mean, we see it here at work. Like I said, deer will catch on. We're doing deer drives. We're not seeing a whole lot, especially late season. But I had to go up to our utility barn one night. It was about 9:30, and had to back in and drop some stuff off. And as my headlights swung out into the field, I ended up counting 47 deer out in our field after, we're hunting them all year long. And then, in a little 14-acre field, there's damn near 50 deer out in it. Where they go, they just got to go to the outskirts of the property where, we can't hunt them. And maybe somebody's not hunting them late season. Every little parcel around here has hunters on it, like I said, but they just find the hiding spots, man. It's pretty incredible.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
It's like I said, the 10% of the state up here is so different from everywhere else, and it's a different world here.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Well,
it's fun.
it part of me wants to go check out Delaware to go hunting there though. And when I get some free time, just to say I've hunted Delaware with all that land, property, not land property, all that pressure being hunted on that land.
Yeah,
I just want to see like what it's like to hunt out there in that situation.
Yeah, man, come on out. I can set you up.
Well, we're getting close to that time, so it's kind of. Is there a story that you didn't get to share, or a story? Well, actually, let me ask you: is there a story that you didn't share tonight that's like, you know what? this is going to be a story I'm going to remember for forever, and I'd like to share it.
Man, honestly, my best story is that story I told you earlier, but there is one from that happened last year. Again, it's a deer I have a lot of history with. So I guess it was 3 years ago. I got multiple years of sheds off this deer. We called him Tall Brow. He's actually a European mount. I'm looking at him now, but so I found his sheds. He lived in a pretty small home range, very huntable too. He was around. He lived close to people, but he was in an unique area. Found his sheds and stuff. And last year, it was a year that we were going to try and hunt him. Had trail cameras running, all year. We're getting pictures of him here and there, but my coworker actually wanted to really shoot this deer. He's very unique. Like I said, he has really, really tall brow tines. They're incredible. And last noon,
bring him on the show.
Yeah, I brought.
Let's see this.
Yeah. So here he is here.
Oh wow, those are giant.
Tall bladed brows. This is another deer. I mean, he's 4.5 here, but he kind of maxed out at 3.5. This year he didn't grow much. Just a super unique deer. His brows are real bladed. Last known trail cam picture of him was October 31st, and November 4th. I was going out deer hunting early in the morning. My wife went into work early. She calls me as I'm walking through the field. I'm like, this is odd. She never calls me this time of the morning. She's like, hey, I just hit a big buck. My car's all fucked up. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, how big was the buck? Like, are you okay? How's your, everything all right? She's like, honestly, the deer, I don't know where it went. It came off the hill, and it ran into the side of her car, and she ran over it with her back tire. And I mean, there's a little bit of damage, but all in all, it wasn't that bad. No deer to be found. Didn't really think anything of it until, after shotgun season. It's like, man, Tall Brow didn't get killed. That's odd. And like I said, it didn't really cross my mind. Like I said, there's so much hunting pressure. The deer could have went across the creek to another property and got killed. We would have never known it. Shed hunting last year, and about 80 yards from where my wife hit this buck, I find Tall Brow. I'm like, like it all kind of clicked. He disappeared. Like I said, October 31st was the last trail cam picture we had. 5 days later, my wife hits this buck. She said it was, she knows a nice buck. She doesn't know like a big buck. But all the pieces just kind of came together, and so my wife killed that with a Honda CRV. So I actually got a salvage tag from game warden up here, and talked to my taxidermist. I want to get a cape for him and get him shoulder mounted, just because I have all the years of history with him and sheds and stuff like that too. So that was a pretty unique story. Pretty cool.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's sad to hear it end that way though, but it's cool to kind of put a little twist to that storytale ending though, kind of on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, pretty cool. I guess my dog wants to say hi too. Goodness, man. They're never like this. There's something I asked tonight.
Well, they heard us talking about the dog in the
I know.
running the sheds.
Gosh. Yeah.
Well, John, I'd love to say thank you for coming on the show. And
man. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and taking about an hour out of your day to come talk with us and share your hunting stories. And man, I'd love to have you guys love to have you back on the show again. And
yeah, man,
I feel like we can still talk about some more hunting stories out there in Delaware.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. Yeah, if you ever want to come out and give Delaware a try, let me know.
Oh, I'm bringing Jason and Dan with me, and we're gonna see what we can do out there in Delaware.
You come out early September, bring a lot of arrows with you.
Oh, that's my plan.
Yeah, we can get you some antlerless deer pretty easily.
Oh, I want to try and get a velvet buck. That's for sure.
That too. Yeah, we can make that happen.
All right, John. Thanks, buddy. Have a good night.
All right, Brett. Thanks, man. Have a good one.
You too.
Yep. See ya.
Oh, that was a whoop. There we go. Well, that was a fun show. getting to hear those fun hunting stories. And I still can't believe, though, that it's that, how do I want to say, it's that heavily pressured there to hunt, but yet somehow all the deer are still just managing to come in there. And he must have another secret that he's not sharing, because, man, those are some giant bucks on the wall there. And I just can't believe it. But we're looking forward to tomorrow's show. Thanks for everyone for coming out for tonight. Sorry I only got to see just me. I know Dan wanted to be here. I know the Homeless Hobbit did too. But we all know that I'm the star. No, I'm just kidding. I love those two guys, and couldn't do it without those two. But I'm looking forward to tomorrow's show. Dan will be back on. And I think we might be doing something a little bit different for tomorrow's show. Not 100% sure, but I'm going to be texting one of my friends to see if we're going to try this out, because tomorrow we don't have a guest for tomorrow's show. So you know what? We might just have some fun with tomorrow's show as well. So with that being said, thanks everyone. Have a good night. Make sure to subscribe, follow with all our pages. Really appreciate the support. And thanks again, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.